People who work at a Subway sandwich place, what is the strangest order you've ever had from a customer? This one guy used to come into my sub shop at least twice a week. Always ordered a steak and cheese with extra ketchup. Except you couldn't put enough ketchup on it. We could use over half a bottle and he would still come back and ask for the bottle because packets took too much time. My town had a lot of foreign exchange students from South Korea and they would always order the meatball subs with scoops of seafood sensation, which was just mayo and imitation crab. Then have it toasted. It smelled horrible. Also had a guy that could barely talk, he was so high wanted every sauce on his chicken bacon ranch. It was more soup by the end. Then he gets to the register and he remembers he doesn't have any money and walks away. My manager actually asked anyone if they wanted it. I'd have taken it to see what it's like, but I'd ask for extra chipotle on it so that the heat would mask the taste. Worked the night shift for Subway during college. Had a regular come in at 3 AM usually that would request that we toast the shit out of his sandwich. I'm talking the whole thing was basically charcoal. First time he came in while I was on shift. I pulled his sandwich out of the toaster and he told me to put it back in. And again and again. I thought he was a drunk guy with me. Apparently he really liked the taste of burnt everything. Grossed me out. But as long as he paid I didn't really care. Damn. This reminds me of an asshole that would always order 2-foot-long flatbread sandwiches right before we officially closed. He demanded that we toast each sandwich separately for 8 minutes with all of the veggies on it. If someone tried to toast them together, he refused to accept it and insisted we start over. There was never a manager for the closing shift, so this asshole just liked to bully whoever was working. And then extra regular mayo and sriracha. I think he wanted to know what a dumpster fire tasted like. If learned one thing from the thread, it's that my son's order of pepperoni on white bread with mayo and pickle is not all that strange. Quizmas. Mostly working with teens. This one kid brings in a bunch of Tupperwares at the beginning of his shift. Weird, but I don't care. End of his shift. Edit 3. Not closing time. We had a lineup, and his mom shows up to give him a lift. He starts filling the Tupperwares with chili. Turns out his mom tried it one day and loved it. Whole family tried. They all love it. They'd made a deal with our boss to buy bulk chili every week. Edit. I forgot all about Alice Cooper. Came in near closing. Went straight for the cookies. This is a mall food court. He was actually looking for a Starbucks. Since we were about the only place still open near 10 PM, he came to ask us. Except I don't drink Starbucks. My boss don't drink Starbucks. And the cashier who does know can't speak because she's frozen up in the face of Alice frickin' Cooper. I knew at least which exit to take to the Starbucks down the street. Cashier managed to nod along with my directions. Then Alice Cooper bought about 10 Quiznos cookies and left, looking for a Starbucks. We had frozen egg discs that we were supposed to heat in the oven. I say egg, but really it was more of a frozen circle of egg whites with a yellow piece in the middle, that may or may not be missing depending on luck of the draw. This one guy would come in every shift I had and order just the egg circle, but didn't want us to heat it up. We handed him hard, frozen, disgusting looking discs that sounded like rocks when banged against the counter, covered in ice flakes. He barely spoke English, so the first time he showed up we were very confused to say the least. But once we understood, he was very happy with his egg hockey pucks. This is definitely the most unique one I've read so far. What a weird eating habit. I haven't worked at Subway for like 15 years but will never forget the asshole regular that came in and wanted a ton of olives and drowned in chipotle. He was the entire time for no reason, so we all got real passive aggressive with him and just did the prescribed 6 olives at a time and 3 lines of dressing. He'd turn red. Call the owner. He bitched enough the manager was told to just have him call the owner, and the owner would just say they're doing it how they're trained and how Subway requires. He'd disappear for a month or so then repeat. Worked at a Subway and a guy ordered a meatball sub, no sauce, but with copious amounts of vinegar. Also worked at Sonic and had multiple times where a lady ordered tomato sandwiches. Just tomatoes and a bun. Tomato sandwiches. Buttered Italian bread. Tomatoes, salt, pepper, are very popular in my family. They are normally made with fresh bread and thick sliced tomatoes from the garden though, so I can't imagine the Sonic version would cut it. don't work there anymore. But the one order that sticks in my mind above everything else was one time a guy came in on the phone to order 2 sandwiches and he explained one was for his 7 months pregnant wife, so to please make it right. He has a list of exactly what she wants. So I made it exactly how it was written down. Then made his and he paid and all was good in the world. Then maybe 10 minutes later the phone rings and I answer it and there is this woman on the phone just screaming at me telling me I made her sandwich wrong and how she wanted ranch instead of mayo and blah blah and that she would send her husband in to get it remade. You know, full Karen minus the let me speak to the manager bit. So the guy comes back in and I immediately recognize him and he's apologizing profusely, explaining that his wife is pregnant and hormones and whatnot. And I assured him I've been yelled at for less, it's no big deal, I'll remake it at no charge. He has the offending sandwich. I remake it right and throw the old one away. And as I'm ringing up the order, even though it was free it still had to be rung up at $0 for bread count accuracy. The phone rings. So I hand the man his sandwich and answer the phone and there is this woman on the phone hysterically crying on the other end, and so I ask if she's alright and she informs me that she called earlier and she felt horrible about yelling at me. Because she realized she wrote it down wrong and it wasn't my fault, and the whole time I'm just awkwardly telling her that it's okay. No big deal, we got it taken care of. You're okay, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And then she, still sobbing, asks me straight up, do you forgive me? And I said it's all good, no worries, and she said, number. Do you forgive me? And I said yeah, don't worry about it, and she asked again, but do you forgive me? And I replied yes, I forgive you. Have a great night, mom. After which she hung up. I still remember that even 7 years later because it was the only time I've ever had a customer call back not only to apologize, but crying about it as well. Ironically for the question, I don't actually remember what the specific sandwich was. I wanna say it was an oven roasted chicken breast, but I truly am just taking a shot in the dark. Not an order, but my boyfriend had a customer come in with a Kermit the Frog puppet. The customer spoke through the puppet, had my boyfriend hand the change to the puppet, and also slide the sandwich to the puppet. I guess whatever you can do to cope with the world. I worked at a Subway next to the shadiest motel in town and hookers would come in all the time. For the most part they were fine, but one lady would come in and get the cold cut combo and ask for oil on it. I always loved watching new employees make her food because of the look of amusement, turning to confusion, turning to horror as she demanded more oil. Empty the bottle on this sandwich and she'd get all huffy and rudely ask you to refill it and keep going. By the time you were done, the bread was so saturated with oil that it just mushed apart if you tried to touch it. You had to use the paper to try and topple the oily mess into a vaguely sub-shaped blob and roll it up fast before it leaked everywhere. I always wished she'd stay in the lobby to eat it just once, so I could be sure she really intended to use it as food, but she always shuffled back to the motel to have her oily feast. Being strung out on some drugs can make it incredibly hard to I'm wondering if she found a solution for that. There's a lot cheaper ways to cure constipation than an oil sandwich. Worked at a pizza place for like 5 minutes during uni. Guy used to come in and order a calzone stuffed with just ketchup. No cheese. No actual tomato sauce. I worked at a Subway a long time ago and a guy would order 2 full bags of lettuce on his sandwich every day. Imagine 2 pounds of lettuce on some bread. He would order often enough that I knew to go in the back and grab 2 full bags just for him. I worked at a Burger King my junior year of high school. Not a sandwich shop, but play along. I was on specialty board, chicken and fish mainly. This order came through for an original chicken with HHHH mayo. H in the training stood for heavy or extra. I asked my manager if it was a typo and they said no, this guy comes in once a week for that sandwich. I swear, by the time my manager said the sandwich was proper, the mayo was thicker than the chicken patty itself. I felt like I needed to bathe afterwards. I worked at Subway many years ago. There was a couple that would come in semi-regularly and she wanted just a double helping of American cheese on white bread. No veggies, no condiments, just cheese. I never charged her for the extra cheese since I figured the veggies she wasn't getting offset it. Eventually she started asking for more and more cheese until it was easily 10x what came on it. She must have been bummed when I quit. That cheese sandwich probably would have cost about $10 if someone who gave a rang it up. I was at a Subway last month and waited in line behind an older guy who ordered 2 of that exact cheese sandwich. Not even toasted, just cold cheese on plain bread. The sandwich artist looked confused and kept asking if he was sure, and the guy kept saying yes, that's what she wants. I'm sorry. LOL. What can I get for you? I'll get a 6-inch honey wheat. Just condiments. Just condiments. Just condiments. All of them, if you don't mind. That day ruled. Used to have a guy come in regularly to order a foot long on white. Double mayo. Salt, pepper. He then sat in the lobby and ate the whole thing. Used to work in a deli that also made some simple breakfast items in the mornings. One day a lady ordered a Western omelette. Hold the eggs. I had to specify 3 times that she did not want any eggs in the omelette. We made her a salad of diced ham, onions, green bell peppers, with salsa, and she seemed pleased with this. Not a sandwich shop, but I was a pizza maker for years at a pretty nice restaurant. Think Caribus, but local owned and French trained head chef. Anyway, a bus full of special needs folks and their helpers came in one day, kind of in between lunch and dinner, like about 2:30ish. They all order food and are having a great time. Italian music blasting, delicious homemade bread at the table. Everyone's having a great time. The order comes to me. Nothing too memorable except for this one specific pie. Small cheese pizza. No cheese. No sauce. I checked with the server. Yep, that's what he requested. No oil. No nothing. So I make it. One beautiful fresh made dough ball, expertly tossed and shaped into a small pizza. I stay on top of it in the oven, popping all the little bubbles that rise up and push them back down flat. It finishes and I cut it into 6 slices. She brings it to the table. The chef wants me to go out and make sure everyone is enjoying their meal. I go. The gentleman eating that unique pizza is ecstatic, tells me and the whole restaurant that this is the best pizza he's ever had. And I truly believe he meant it. This was about 20 years ago and I think about that table often. I've cooked and sold thousands of pizzas and that was my most memorable for sure. I hope that guy is doing well and I hope he is still trying all the pizzas this world has to offer. I had to cut extra holes in Swiss cheese gore, an 8-year-old. Been the strangest request since we opened in 2007. The fact that you did it makes you a much nicer person than I am. At McDonald's, a guy came in and said he had lost a bet and as a result had to order a double cheeseburger with 17 extra patties and bacon and cheese between each patty. I don't remember how much it cost, but we had to tape several wrappers together just to cover it up and keep it sort of together. I think we gave him a knife and fork to eat it with. I'd love to know the specifics of this bet. Why stop at 19 patties when you could go for a nice even 20?